Right, 6 October 2024, and today I'm going to be giving you my opinions on the outcome of the by-elections that took place this weekend. And most of you might not be understanding why I'm focusing so much on these by-elections. So Nelson Chamisa has taken a strategy and he has been expressing his approach, which I've called a grassroots first strategy. You all know that I'm not agreeable to that strategy. I believe that an organization has to be built from the top, but Nelson Chamisa has adopted the grassroots first strategy. So I'm going to be unpacking it for you and what is happening, what are the pros and cons of Nelson Chamisa's strategy and what has happened this weekend. So I want to start with the results of Binga. So the results of Binga are out, and as expected, Nelson Chamisa's party, the Independent Party, which is currently not having a name, has lost that election too. They lost the one in Zingani, and they've lost the one in Binga. But there are marked differences in what has happened. And I want to take you through this whole thing and what I think. So the results for Binga are as follows. So you see that I've unpacked them for you into a graph. And ZANU-PF has had about 200 votes in the 4 polling stations. And then Nelson Chamisa has consistently had about 100. So 78, 111, 68, and 145. And then we had the CCC party, which is the yellow party, with the 12, 2, 4, and 3. And then the NCA party of Maduku, that had sometimes 0. So that is the party in red. So that's 5, 1, 0, and 3. You can clearly see that the 2 dominant parties is ZANU-PF and the independent of Nelson Chamisa. And as I showed you the candidates on that day when the election took place, this is the candidate of the independent candidate for Nelson Chamisa. He was David Siampani Munenge. So why this is very interesting is that Nelson Chamisa has been working in this constituency for a very long time. This is the one constituency where Prince Dubeko Sibanda has been working on the grassroots first strategy. And I've had massive discussions with these guys over their strategy of starting at the grassroots. And Dubeko has proved himself correct. There is a lot of brand recognition. So people know who is Nelson Chamisa's candidate. You can clearly see here that the blue is big. The blue, without Chamisa going to that constituency, they know who is the candidate for Nelson Chamisa. They also don't want the ZANU-PF candidate. The ZANU-PF candidate has come in with food, with maize, and they brought in furs at the polling station. So there were people standing there guarding the polling station, and still people were brave enough in the rural areas to vote for Nelson Chamisa. So you can see that that approach, which was taken by Dubeko and by Chamisa in this constituency, is very effective. And ZANU-PF found it very difficult to counter this strategy. They invested a lot of money into this constituency. And they also sent in intelligence to throw out the CCC representative, the independent representatives or the Blue Movement representatives. They tried to confuse people by having 2 opposing parties. All these things didn't work. People still went and voted for Nelson Chamisa's party based on what they were told by their leaders on the ground. So just what Dubeko told them was enough for them to go and vote for the Blue Party and not to vote for ZANU-PF. ZANU-PF struggled here. It's not the same as Zingani. If I showed you what happened at Zingani, this was a terrible situation. At Zingani, the only place where people voted for Nelson Chamisa was at Macheche. I think this graph the guys who did this graph is not correct. We're going to sort it out. What you're seeing is red roses there. That's Macheche. Macheche is the only place where Chamisa got votes. And Macheche, the reason why people voted for Nelson Chamisa at Macheche is because this place is right next to the road. So the reason why is that it's right next to the road. So ZANU-PF could not do tricks there. If they did any tricks, Macheche Primary, you can literally walk from the main road to South Africa to that school. So if there were any tricks, they would be caught. So they didn't do any tricks. So it's clear to me that there were a lot of tricks that took place in Zingani district. I know that place very, very well. I grew up and spent a lot of time in Zingani. And if you look at Ngema is an irrigation place. Falcon is a road, it's very far from the road. Esgodini is way far from the road. And Sacred Heart is an isolated school. That is why you see that there were only 18 votes here. So what am I trying to say? The issues that have been raised in the past. So don't take away from what Freeman Chari said. You need to have people on the ground. So that is very important. Here in Zingani, we didn't have enough people on the ground. Where you had people, ZANU-PF cannot rig. This election was massively rigged. There was massive rigging here. And so, one, you must have people on the ground. Secondly, you must have a lot of leadership in a constituency. Those are two important factors. Leadership in the constituency, and on the day of the election, you need to have all your people inside the polling station. It doesn't matter where the polling station is, you need to have your people inside, because ZANU-PF is going to deploy outside. So when you're planning future elections, you now have to plan for FARs. You now have to plan for rigging. You now have to plan for staffing. Those are the things that happened at Zingani. And remember what they did. They extended the presidential heifer program, which they are now calling the pass-through program. They gave cattle to these people. They went and gave maize. They went and opened the bridge. And that is why you see the results that you are seeing right now. During the period of hunger, this is what happened. At Binga, FARS was openly challenged. So I want to show you that video again. FARS was openly challenged at the entrance where they were sitting. So that was people saying, take photos, don't allow these FARS guys to intimidate us. These are rural people challenging FARS at the gate. So your future election in Zimbabwe is not different. You have to think about how to counter these people. And I think in Binga, besides the fact that the leaders were chased out of the constituency, I think they did everything correct leading up to the actual election. But this election result is showing you that Blue Movement won here. If it was not for staffing, registering of people as they entered, registering of people as they left, and also giving them food, trucks were parked at the gate so that whoever went out was registered to say who did you vote for, and probably showing the picture of whatever they voted. This is crazy. Remember, this is a council seat. So it's unbelievable what a high stake was placed on this election. So guys, this is why I'm focusing on this election. Where we're going, elections are going to be important. But as far as I'm concerned, something else is going to happen beforehand. ZANU-PF is totally terrified of anything that Nelson Chamisa is going to come up with. They do not know what is his plan. And they are trying as much as possible to get a picture, to paint a picture of popularity, to say they're popular, as they did at Zingani. That election, if it was to be challenged in court, a lot of things will come out there. So I would encourage the guys who are at Zingani to go and challenge and call for a recount in that constituency. You see a lot there. The fact that you got odd numbers, like 99% of people voting for ZANU-PF, is clearly showing that something's wrong. There's no election of that nature where Chamisa's party gets one vote. It's not possible. It has never happened, and it will never happen anyway. So let's now look at the NCA. What is the point of having the NCA? What is the point of having the CC? You can clearly see that in the next parliament, there will be no CC. there'll be no NCA. So what is Chabangu doing? What is Welshman doing? What is wrong? Because going forward, these parties won't exist. NCA got a few votes, CC got a few votes. So we should be thinking now about how to collapse all these parties into one opposition party. These guys need to work together and create one big tent and select candidates from a pool. These people who were being voted for, we don't know them. It's not about the people. It's all about Nelson Chamisa at the top. If people someone is told this is Chamisa's person, they vote there. So let's have a big tent in the opposition. Everyone comes together and create an opposition that will be voted for. I think that is clear. You can clearly see that that is the way to go. Not what is happening now. We've got multiple small little parties that are getting 1 vote here, 2 votes here. Imagine if you could get Welshman Ngube to drive to Macheche, to drive to Eskodini and talk on behalf of Nelson Chamisa, and you've got Dubeko in Binga, you've got all these people together. That is essential. You need the unity in the opposition. All these guys, there's nothing that they're going to achieve. Even in Amaduku, they waste so much time. The petrol that Maduku used to go to Binga, some constituencies, some polling station, he had no votes. And yet he has people in those constituencies. What does it mean if he's got 0 votes? So I think let's go to the comments. Mkoma Trimangani says 1 big tent is risk infiltration. I don't know. I'm always saying I'm against the grassroots first structure or the grassroots first strategy. We've agreed to disagree with guys like Dubeko, where I say you cannot build an organization from the bottom. Every party is going to be infiltrated. It's not possible for a party not to be infiltrated, because that's the job of intelligence. When I deal with people on a daily basis, I deal with them on the understanding that there is someone at work, at an office, that has been told to say, find out what Chamisa is doing. That person won't stop. It's there at work. And then Mkoma KG says, Gambakwe is the only one who has spread news with tangible evidence. Thank you, Mkoma. Thank you, Mkoma. Yes. Remember, myself, I have to give you guys something that you can't get anywhere else. Because eventually we're going to run the biggest media house in Zimbabwe, and you're going to see what we're going to do within the next 3 weeks. It's going to show you what's happening and what's the direction of our media in Zimbabwe. And then Mkoma Tichafa says, you're a damn liar. Who told you that the blue is Nelson's party? Say Chamisa is under constraints, leave Chamisa alone. Mkoma Tichafa, the blue is Chamisa. It's not a party. The blue candidate, the independent candidate, is the candidate that is aligned to Nelson Chamisa. So except if you think that Chamisa achazoita vanhu vake vanobva kune imwe nyika who are voted for, then you can say Chamisa is not in the game. Chamisa is in the game. Everyone who voted in Binga here, they were voting for Nelson Chamisa in that blue. So in that block of blue that you're seeing there, those people, they took a lot of risks to vote for Nelson Chamisa. And remember, I don't talk things that I don't know. I deal with these guys on a daily basis. I'm not, I don't want to say a name, but I'm telling you the things that are there. The results themselves that you're circulating, they're actually written independent and then Chamisa in brackets. So believe me, that is what is there. And then Mkoma Gift says, don't mention Ngube, he failed himself to be a member of parliament. Professor Welshman Ngube is our elder. So we must not say anything about him, anything bad about him. And I also talked to him quite a lot of times. Now, I think we've covered this. Let me recap nicely what I said. What I said is that in spite of everything that ZANU-PF tried, Nelson Chamisa's brand is very strong. He has managed to bring out people to vote for him without even stepping into the constituency. And with the ZANU-PF deploying all their strategies, Chamisa still had a lot of votes. And this is the most representative constituency of what can happen. Just a few more people, ZANU-PF would lose this thing. They don't have a big appeal. They've handed food out to hundreds and hundreds of people. And they were parked right there with their cars. They were registering people on exit and entry, and they still did not have a landslide. This is the most representative and most effective area where Prince Dubeko did a lot of work, and also a lot of other guys from the Blue Movement went to Binga. They spent a lot of time in this constituency. And you remember that Prince Dubeko had his birthday celebration after release here a week ago. So he was also in the constituency, but a day before they threw him out, intelligence was chasing Prince Dubeko. So good job in this place. This is the way to go. This is how these guys should be moving. And I hope that Nelson Chamisa comes out. We are obviously going to make an announcement in January of how we're going to proceed. There is something that needs to be done. And let's see if Nelson Chamisa comes up with something before January. It's only a few months from now. And I've got, as I said, a massive announcement to make within the next 4 weeks. We are awaiting big developments in ZANU-PF. Do not forget what I said. We have reached the end of the Mnangagwa era. We're in the post-Mnangagwa era. Every single thing that you see is significant. So anything that you see right now is significant. You are going to see a lot this week. Mnangagwa is going to be burying Cheenga Pry at the National Heroes Acre. You should watch that event very closely. Watch everything that is happening. And also Mnangagwa is going to be out quite a bit. He's going to be at the Zimbabwe International Research Symposium. This is a Cheenga project, this thing here. You can see here, it says the Research Council of Zimbabwe under the office of the Honorable Vice President Cheenga is hosting this. So Cheenga is going to be over here. Let's see what happens on the 13th. And this is going to be at the HICC, very significant. You also saw Mnangagwa recently hosted this one here. This is the Great Zimbabwe University. And I think Professor Rungano Zobo is back at the Great Zimbabwe University. And you can see Dr. Sinikiwe Bwatizo. She was quite in the news for a bit. There is a lot happening. And we'll be seeing a lot. There's also a Great Zimbabwe annual Lake October event that is going to take place. You're going to see it very soon. So we have a lot that is happening within the next 3 weeks. But the biggest event is what is happening at the ZANU-PF, where ZANU-PF is having its annual National People's Conference. They've already dismissed everyone at the bottom. It's only going to be people at the top right now. And as we watch, you must anticipate a lot, because that is where Cheenga is going to make his move. By that time, Cheenga is going to make a move, or someone will have moved against Cheenga, because Cheenga is next in line. There's no question about it. Cheenga is next in line to be Zimbabwe president and also ZANU-PF president. Let's see how he maneuvers that situation. How does he get himself into that office of the president with everyone watching? The Mnangagwa faction is watching very, very carefully. And any wrong move that he makes, they're going to drop him. So as I said, someone is going to drop within the next 4 weeks. And I'm not talking about people like Cheenga here. Someone big is going to drop within the next 4 weeks. And it's going to be all happening in public. So everything that is going to happen now will happen in public. There'll be nothing happening in private. So I would like to thank all of you for watching. Let's now watch the next thing, which is coming. Tomorrow, I'll probably get an announcement on when this Colonel Cheenga Pry is going to get buried. And then we'll take it from there. I would like to thank you for all your support. And I'll be back here in the morning at 5 a.m. as usual. And a good night.